Welcome to room 17. Today you will need your social studies book, paper, and a pen. Good morning, class. Today we are focusing on the road to war, or the American Revolution, and our Declaration of Independence from the English. As usual, we have 5 events on our timeline for this lesson, and you will see our first event is May 10th, 1775, and it is the Second Continental Congress meets. And our second event is June 17th, 1775, the Battle of Bunker Hill. 1776, Common Sense is published. July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence is issued. And lastly, November 15th, 1777, the Articles of Confederation are written. Be sure to write this timeline down as you usually do. Okay, the next section of your notes should be labeled the language of the discipline. And we are going to start with Commander-in-Chief, which is the leader of all military forces. Okay? The second language of the discipline is called earthworks. These are walls of earth and dirt. Our third language of the discipline is olive branch. This is an ancient symbol of peace. We then have independence, or the freedom to govern oneself. Resolution, a formal group statement. Declaration, an official statement. We also have a preamble, or an introduction or preparatory statement. Grievances or complaints. And Articles of Confederation, which is this country's first plan of government. This is what we call input. This is the important information that you should work on remembering, because there will be a couple questions at the end of this video for you to answer and turn in tomorrow. First, we have news of Lexington and Concord. This spreads and it results in the meeting of the Second Continental Congress. Now, most of you should remember what the First Continental Congress was because we learned about it last week. Members of Congress were divided in views, some agreeing that they should go to war and some thinking that they should totally and completely avoid war. By June, it was agreed to prepare for war, and the Continental Army was formed. Okay. George Washington, we all remember who George Washington was. We learned about him last week, and we did an art project with him, was chosen as the Army's commander-in-chief. This means he was in charge of the whole Continental Army. One of the first battles of the American Revolution was the Battle of Bunker Hill. This was actually fought on Breed's Hill and was later misnamed Bunker's Hill. This is where British General Gage learned of the earthworks that the colonists were building and sent 2,400 soldiers to try to defeat the colonists, but the colonists actually showed the British that it would be very hard to defeat them, that they had a lot of spirit and they would keep fighting. Though they were defeated at Bunker Hill, the colonists showed the British that they were not going to stop fighting for their independence. And this started with the Declaration of Independence. And the first part of the Declaration is the preamble, and this states why the Declaration is needed. Next is the Statement of Rights. The longest part of the Declaration lists the colonists' grievances, and the end of the Declaration states that the colonies are free and independent states. July 4, 1776, Congress voted to accept the Declaration's final wording after months of debate and changing the wording. The first to sign the Declaration was the President of the Congress, which was John Hancock. But the Second Continental Congress's work wasn't done yet. With independence, a new government had to be formed. The committee for this decided on a confederation idea that was accepted by the Congress on November 15, 1777, and it was called the Articles of Confederation. So to sum up this lesson, we would say that the Second Continental Congress formed the Continental Army and made George Washington the commander-in-chief. By that time, the first major battle of the Revolutionary War, or the Battle of Bunker Hill, had been fought. The British prepared to fight the colonists. Partly because of Thomas Paine's common sense, many colonists began to call for independence, and Thomas Jefferson worked to write the Declaration of Independence. Later, Congress passed the Articles of Confederation for the country's first plan of government. As always with our lessons, we have unanswered questions. I wondered, what made the colonists decide to build earthworks at Breed's Hill? Why is it Breed's Hill? So why not Bunker Hill? Why not one of the other hills around? How did they decide who would be in the committee that wrote the Articles of Confederation? There had to be a process to decide who could make those decisions. I want you to ask your own question or two and write it down to be turned in tomorrow in class. Our activity for this lesson is multiple perspectives. We are going to pretend that we were there when we first declared our independence. You are going to write a journal as a colonist who has just declared their independence and is excited and nervous about war, and whatever feeling you think that they might have, write it down in a 3-paragraph journal entry to be turned in tomorrow in class. These are some questions for you to answer on a piece of paper and turn in tomorrow. What hill did the Battle of Bunker actually take place on? What was the first plan for government called? What is an earthwork? Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? See you guys in class tomorrow. Have a good night.